Hey, 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 welcome to Classical Christian Thought. And look at that. Look at that.
Oh,
Elijah
sorry.
Yasi with the jokes.
Yes.
Well,
this is his first time reading those books right now, by the
way. Just to prove to you guys I do read them. Yeah.
Well, you've got undeniable proof now.
They look brand new to me.
LeBron James on page 1 only.
Yep.
Well, all right, guys. Well, everybody, please hit the like button. I hate to be that guy. Like I did the last time I did it, I did it at the end of the show. That's how much I hate to be this guy that says to hit the like and subscribe. But it does help because everything's run off of the math of this algorithm to get people to come and watch and share. So if you can hit the like button, then if you want and you find yourself enjoying this, hit the subscribe button. And if you think that more than one person can benefit from it, please share it with others. I have here with me men that I do not need to introduce. As you can tell, people in the comments already are saying things like Avengers Assemble. So yeah, basically we just wanted to have a chill stream. This is not a formal show where we're going through any specific topic. So we're just going to kind of facilitate a conversation. And if you in the audience have any questions, feel free to send in questions. We're going to kind of run two currents here with just a conversation, shooting the breeze, and then asking questions. All right. So the first thing I'd like to say, guys, is I miss you guys.
Likewise.
Yeah, it's been a while, man. So I want to start with Enoch, because yesterday I spent about 2 hours on my couch with my kids watching your YouTube channel.
Thank you, man.
If you guys want to hear some really, I just want to, I'll say theology first. Okay. Second, rap. Okay. If you want to hear some good theology and rap,
thank you.
Gotta go to Enoch's channel on YouTube.
Yep.
And listen, dude. I know you and Elijah. I mean, the first time I saw Elijah was, I can't even remember what app it was, but it was like it was the two of you guys in like a black. You were wearing a black, like a get up, and there was like, you know, some movement between the two of you guys. Tell us a little bit about where you guys came from, where you're born, and how you got into rap.
Elijah, you want to take this one, or?
No, I think you got this one.
Yeah. So yeah, born in the Middle East, in the East Coast, East Coast, West Coast rap battles. No, we were born in Iraq. We were we're Chaldean Syriac. Eastern Rite Catholics, baptized, confirmed, first communion in the Chaldean Rite, I believe we got our first communion. We migrated here at age 6 or 7, I believe, in 91, 92. Assimilated here into, you know, the Western culture, I guess you could say. At first, we weren't really allowed to listen to rap, but after a while, when you're inundated into that culture, you go to public school, you know, you're in California. After a while, the Tupac, the Snoop Dogg's, and the Dr. Dre's just, you know, start creeping into the family, and then we started listening to that, and Busta Rhymes and Diddy and those guys, and we really got inundated into the culture, and we just started picking up the pen, and we just got inspired by it. And we started writing. I remember our first rap song was just absolutely horrible, one of the worst things you'll ever hear.
It wasn't even rap.
Yeah, it wasn't even
that rap. Mine was country. Ended up being country. His ended up being like R&B.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, because it was that part of that culture. We were such huge R&B fans. You know, grew up with Boyz II Men and those guys. That's when I thought music was actually, you know, in a transition of like still decent but not yet completely gone. You know, you have some artists in the '90s that weren't bad. We ended up becoming Protestants, I believe, for about 6 months. Is it, Elijah? Somewhere around there. I think in our late
maybe
teens,
a year, yeah, if that.
Early 20s. we became Protestants. We were going to, I think one time we attended the Rock, which was Miles McPherson was the preacher, who was an ex-Charger player in San Diego. Opened one of the biggest churches in San Diego called the Rock, and we went there I think a couple of times. And my dad, man, he literally had a conniption because he couldn't defend the faith. He just knew that the Catholic faith was the true faith, but he couldn't defend the faith well enough. And at that time, him and I were reading scripture. We just did everything the Protestants did. We interpreted it completely incorrectly, and Luther became our guy. His ultimatum for us was, listen, go to one Bible study. If you're not convinced, then you could go ahead and become Protestant all you want and continue your journey. And it was funny because we ended up finding, we were just like, let's just find the local one. Let's get this over with because Catholicism is whack. And we ended up finding one where it was a biblical scholar and he was doing a biblical study according to the church fathers. God's providence, of course. And the church fathers are undefeated when it comes to converting Protestants to Catholics. And once we got into the church fathers, when we got into scripture, we had a change of heart. And then I would say we've been studying Catholicism ever since then. That was we were about 22, 23 at that time. So it's been about 15 years. So yeah, that's pretty much just a summary of our story. But rap pretty much we went from secular rap to Catholic rap. We took a break. I got married, had kids. We pretty much threw it away. We did get signed to a record label once. It didn't work out, unfortunately, but we got signed to a Catholic record label. We were really excited. Wow. We did some performances. We had a good time. We went to Florida. We did performances near Disneyland. Was a big Catholic event. And then in 2021, I believe, I picked the music back up again after I moved to Kentucky.
I'm still on break.
Yeah, he's on perpetual break. He's on that sabbatical.
Yeah, I didn't know. I don't know. We heard you guys about your being in the West Coast. Obviously, guys like Tupac come to mind. Yeah. I don't know what William's familiarity with it is, but I do remember.
None at all.
I actually do remember Tupac. I do remember Tupac Amaru Shakur, and his how he I actually did have a few CDs of his because he spoke a very different, very almost philosophical, almost he got a little bit more deeper than like the other rappers that were out there. But after him, I can't say I really followed rap. I knew some rappers, after that, obviously, but now my kids tell me these rappers. I did, like my wife had to tell me about Kanye West some years ago. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. But I did think Tupac was talented. I thought he was talented. But
yeah, he was one of those artists. See, nowadays it's quantity over quality. It's you got to put as much music as possible. He was one of the only artists at that time that was putting out quality music in quantity amounts. Yeah. So that's very rare to do.
Yeah, yeah, man. I just wish I had a chance to share the gospel with him.
Oh yeah.
I could only imagine if he became a Christian rapper, like how deep he would have gone.
Yeah,
that would have been incredible.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Wow. So Elijah, tell us what you've been up to lately.
Honestly, I've just been working.
Yeah, well, tell us about that, man. That's good stuff.
Just we Enoch and I own a heating and cooling business in Michigan, and it's been, as you would imagine, in Michigan in the middle of winter, it's been crazy. But even in the fall, it was crazy. In the summer, it was crazy. We haven't really had a break. It's just been one season after another, and I've had no time to dedicate to doing anything like what you guys have been doing, which is great. All three of you guys have been putting out a lot of good work. Carrying on the work that's necessary out there. It's busy for you guys because of all the stuff that comes out in the media and stuff like that. So I've honestly had a boring last, I guess, 2 years just doing work. That's pretty much all I've been doing.
I was actually very blessed to see Elijah in person. He came for some work event about 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago to Orlando, and he showed up. He didn't tell me he was coming to my. He didn't know. To be fair, he didn't know. Okay.
Yep.
But he came to. When I saw him in the flesh, I was like, wow. It was like, my soul was touched. This guy I've been talking to for years, and we've shared so much of our inner thoughts with each other. That was just such a great time. But next time I need to have you longer. He had to go right away. So.
Yeah, well, I thought you were in another part of Florida than where I was. And so that was kind of where I was like, dang it, I should have said something, because I said something when it was like too late. I was leaving the next day or something. I was committed to where I was. But then I knew that you go to a certain. Whoa. Oh, look who it is!
You let the Oriental Orthodox hijack it.
It just got better, man. It just got better.
Yes.
Whoa. Thanks for having me, guys. I couldn't pass it up.
No, that's good, man. Thank you for coming.
You guys.
Thanks for being here, brother.
Good to see you, man. Good to see you. It's been a while.
Yeah. Sure. It's been some time. Thanks for coming on board, Subdeacon.
Thank you for bringing me on.
Yeah, looks like you're in Baghdad.
It actually is close to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're talking about AC, owning an AC company. My son, my oldest son, is 16 now, and
wow,
he's getting to that point where we have to talk about what he's going to do. Because he's not going to be just here in my house forever. So, but a lot of people, so I actually made a public post asking people just, hey, listen, I'm a dad. My son is 16. I've been turning, this is something that a lot of people don't know about me. Elijah knows it. William knows it. But, I've been turning wrenches my whole life. I've actually been working. I've been an electromechanical technician working in a lot of heavy industries. And I smell like oil, grease, and lubricant every day. So a lot of people don't know that that's what I for work. I've been doing that. And so I'm not really a guy to make matches for my son with big, contacts in the world, business and CEO type stuff. So I asked on Facebook, what does everybody think? And of course you got some people saying, well, your problem is that you're trying to plan. You don't plan. You just let God open the door. Well, yes. Okay. That's good to hear. But, there's also wisdom in, like, Proverbs tells us there's wisdom in a multitude of counselors. So I wanted to get more than one person giving me their feedback. Lots of people said trades.
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
yeah, I was just gonna say, I think
agree.
Enoch and Elijah, they were in, I don't know if they're still doing this, but they used to be in the AC thing. And with
they just talked about that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And so that it became a trade, like a passed down thing. And I think that's a great idea. And I think that's how people used to be. That's how it was. Like you got all these last names in our culture, like Haddad. Like he's the Smith or whatever. Like, that they do by their last name. That's their family. Halak. They're the barbers.
Right.
Right. And I wish my dad came in 79 here. He worked at the post office. So I didn't have a trade from him, but I think that's the intended way that it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Well, like Jesus, he's the son of the carpenter, which means he did carpentry.
No doubt.
Najjar. We have a family. It's called Najjar. They're the carpenters.
Right. Yep. It's a good point. It's a good point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, William, how about you, man? What have you been up to lately? I know that you got a lot going on YouTube.
Yeah.
But tell us, debates, books, projects?
A lot. Now, one thing I do want to emphasize for the whole audience is that even though this is the first time we're all back together here in a while, we have not lost touch at all.
Right.
We communicate all the time. We're always talking. That has never, ever stopped. I want people to know we've always remained in communication. What have I been up to? Well, even though Elijah hasn't done stuff on his own in a while, every now and then I'll grab him and I'll take him out of cobwebs and I'll bring him on over to my channel. So every now and then I will do that. For people that may not know, God willing, pretty soon Elijah and myself will be debating together, defending the Immaculate Conception. Now, we'll talk about that more later, but I'm going to take him out of cobwebs yet again. And then after the debate, if he wants to go back into those cobwebs, maybe it'll be somebody else's duty to take him out of there. But yeah, been very active, brother. Thank you for asking. Done a lot of shows with Subdeacon. We very often get together. In fact, I'm going to probably hit him up to do a show again soon. We do a lot of stuff together, and we talk all the time. I talk with all you brothers, but really what is new, working on multiple books. And now what I've decided to do since last year, and I'm really ramping it up this year, is I'm debating in English and in Spanish now. So that has been a lot of fun. I will say this, even though I may know Spanish, even though I may know it, it is very, very time consuming and difficult. So it does take maybe 5 to 10 times more out of me and just leaves me just drained after a Spanish debate or presentation, because that's not the language that I speak every day. You know, it is tough. So I do need people's prayers. Really, really keep praying for me. Thank you very much for that, Luke. Well, you know what, Luke, contrary to what a lot of people may not know, every now and then, Dr. Ortland and myself will go back and forth and we'll dialogue via email. So, you know, hopefully there'll be a lot more, friendly encounters rather than heat encounters. But I really enjoyed doing that presentation on John Chrysostom, because I think, and I want to say something that I'm glad you brought that up, because I want to give a nod to Eric, because many years back, Eric pointed out something to me that I hadn't noticed. It was a text of Chrysostomos, where even though Chrysostom very clearly teaches purgatory, in my opinion, his rendering of 1 Corinthians 3 is a very unique one, very different from Basil and other fathers, in the sense that Chrysostom will flat out tell you the sothesitai, the salvation of the man, is rather not a salvation in heaven, but rather a preservation in hellfire, which is a very unique reading there. And I remember Eric pointed that out to me, and I said, you know, Eric, you're crazy. I went and I looked at the Greek. You know, Eric is right. He's definitely right. So even though I believe Chrysostom, without a doubt, does teach purgatory, his rendering of 1 Corinthians 3 is a quite interesting one, and I think that people need to go and look at it. The one thing that I realized, Chrysostom was very much against Origen's view, so he was very much emphasizing the eternal nature of hell over and against Origen and Origen's followers. I think that led to his unique interpretation there. But one thing I did dig up, and I double-checked with Dr. Howell, who is a great scholar in Chrysostom. I double-checked the multiple areas where Chrysostom provides commentary in 1 Corinthians 3, which, believe it or not, are more than just one area. So, yeah, people go check that video out. But, guys, I don't want to ramble too much. I'm just really thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled to be here with all you all. Really, really thrilled to be here.
This is good stuff. I'm learning.
And I have to say, I've never seen a Catholic take on more difficult debate topics than William. Be like, did 7 popes deny the Immaculate Conception? Like, where did that question even come from? And he debates that for like 3 hours.
Yeah, in German too. Just make it more difficult.
And his connection to these scholars that are like the man, the myth, the legend. Plug in any scholar name you want. They're on William's speed dial. He knows them by first name.
Well, now that you say that, Subdeacon, I have to say this because maybe a lot of people don't know this, but back in Reason and Theology, when I think we hit the jackpot with William, because when he came on is when we started getting some extremely well-known scholars like Sebastian Brock,
Richard Price.
And you know what's interesting, and this is slightly embarrassing to me, because I used to have conversations with Father Price through email, and I think it got to the point where he blocked me. I don't know if he did. I don't know if this is complete speculation on my end, because I think maybe I was just sending so many questions in. But then William continued to have conversations with him. So I'm like, well, William's the guy to talk to Father Price now. So I'm not even going to pretend to have that line of conversation. So, yeah, I don't. Once we had our videos with, we did our recordings with him. Yeah. He was very cordial with me. I don't think he blocked me, but I think he probably said, "Oh, it's this guy again. Let me put it off to the read later folder or something."
And let me say something about you, Eric. So, you and I are always discussing theology, papacy, and stuff privately, right? And sometimes you'll just come up with these questions, and I'm thinking to myself, and you'll ask, this scholar or that scholar, and they'll give you an answer that's, not as satisfactory as we would like it to be. And I'm thinking to myself, the only person that can actually answer these questions is Erick Ybarra. Like, that's probably the person that's most qualified. And here he is asking these scholars.
Well, we've had some dubious answers that have graced our private screenshot gallery. Never to be shared in public,
No doubt.
Yeah.
It's just certain scholars out there that you think they've got this mastered, and then and they all credit due, they have great achievements, but there's just some things you just can't always master. So yeah, we've seen some blunders.
Yeah.
Fun fact, by the way, you guys don't know this, but William is actually a huge scholar in horror movies. He knows every single horror movie.
We know that. We know
okay,
that.
Okay, I didn't know if
we
you
already
know
know
that.
I'll tell you a story. There was one night I asked William, and said, "William, I know you're the guy to ask this." So I said, "So what horror film should I watch?" He rattled off like 10. I said, "All right, well, I'll choose one of them." He said one of them was Hereditary. It was a movie called Hereditary. Yeah. And we watched it, and it was so freaking scary to me.
Yep.
And it got to the point where, like, towards the second half of the movie, they were in like a tree house, and these little kids were given their names, where their names were demonic names of demons. I shut it off. My wife was like, "Eric, you never do this in horror movies." I was like, "Yeah, I can't take it anymore."
I remember that.
We just watched Poltergeist last night because my wife said, my oldest is 16. We're just introducing him into watching some horror movies. And I made a huge mistake by showing him The Exorcist a few years ago. Okay. And so now my wife in conversation says, "I'm really in the mood for a scary movie." I said, "Well, have you ever seen the 1982 Poltergeist?" And she says, "What's that?" I said, "All right, we got something to rectify."
No doubt. I love horror. I love horror. In fact, that you guys know, Eric and Elijah, you both know that pretty much all that I do watch when I have time to watch anything is horror. I love horror films, the old ones, the ones from the 70s, 80s, and not a whole lot of new ones, but there are a few every now and then. Like you brought up there, Eric, I think I'm trying to look for the correct word. I was shaken by Hereditary. It really is very powerful content, very powerful, especially towards the end. You have to admit, brother, that's horrific.
Yeah, I couldn't take it. In fact, I've been challenging myself to try and do it again, and make it to the end. But yeah, that for some reason it wasn't like shock. There wasn't a lot of shock value, but there was just that twisted psychology and that sense of the demonic that really got to me. So that was like, I just you listen to Father Chad Ripperger enough, it's like, you don't want to put up with that too much.
William, what would you say is the scariest movie in your opinion of all time? From what you've seen.
Of all time, that really is a tough one.
Probably some Japanese flick, huh?
No. Man, you're gonna have to get. Oh, you know what? I'm probably gonna have to say, probably Wreck Part 1, Spanish film.
Okay.
I'm definitely gonna say that. That is definitely. I don't know if Eric has ever seen it. Very powerful demonic possession film. Definitely recommended. By the way, Eric, maybe you don't realize this. Let me toss this out at you, who you are a papacy guy. I don't know if you realize it, but you didn't get to finish the movie Hereditary, did you?
No.
I don't like doing this. I'm not going to do it on the air. You guys can call me a wimp all you want, but I don't call out the names of demonic figures ever. I don't do it. But the name of the main demon of Hereditary, I don't know if you're aware of it, but that name is actually taken from an apocryphal medieval text called the Grimoire of Pope Honorius.
You got to be kidding.
Oh no, the demon from that film. And I did tons of research, Eric. I did tons of research. The demon from that film, the main demon from the film Hereditary, appears in it clearly wasn't the real Pope Honorius, but it was a medieval grimoire that had the name of Pope Honorius. It was a very famous one back in the medieval era, attached to Pope Honorius, and that figure is a prominent demonic figure entity, and it appears there in that grimoire. You can find it online to look at it. And I was just blown away that the movie actually had that little tidbit there. And if you didn't finish it, you would not have heard the name of that figure. But if you go back and you watch it, you're going to hear the name, and you can find that little bit of tidbit. It should blow you away.
Yeah, I am blown away. That's pretty cool. I'm writing a book right now.
Wow,
a small one on Pope Honorius.
Oh, wow,
we're due that because around the 1860s and the 1870s, you had a number of books written about Pope Honorius around Vatican I.
Yeah.
And I think we're due one now after 100 and something years.
No doubt.
Chris Mount says Hellraiser. I remember in the early 90s walking into Blockbusters and seeing that face with the needles around his head.
Yeah.
And I always thought to myself, one of these days I'm going to see that. But I never actually saw it.
Yeah. I'm still taking Rec over Hellraiser. I'm still taking it. Has anybody here watched Rec?
No.
Oh my goodness! Wow. Great film. Very powerful and very great. I don't want to reveal anything if you all have not watched it, but if anybody out there has watched it, what do you all think about it? That truly is an unnerving film.
Yeah.
Going back to Eric's book, I'll check that movie. I haven't even heard of it, honestly, Rec. But going back to Eric's book on Honorius, question to you, Eric, is: are you going to have like 3 chapters on the word negligence?
Actually, there's quite a bit on that. So not in 3 chapters. Probably comes up in all of the chapters, but no. Well, that's basically going to be one of the major, points of contention in the book is that what does it mean to neglect preaching the truth in a 7th century context?
You should just name it negligence.
That's probably going to be in the title, Elijah, somewhere.
Go.
Yeah, in the subtitle anyway.
Wow. It's the most important question in the topic for sure.
So, Subdeacon Daniel, tell us what you've been up to lately. What do you got going on? I know that you're the guy I go to for Oriental Orthodox Christology. You're the guy I go to for questions about Justinian versus the East, and all questions related to Sebastian Brock and
Ephraim Jacob
Sarag. Yep, all these guys. Tell us, what have you been studying, doing, even if it's jumping jacks?
I want to just put it out there. I'm only this guy because there's nobody else. I'm not like, all around. I know everything about. This is for the viewers. I'm not an apologist naturally. I just like history. I like Saint Ephraim and Saint Jacob. That style, that's my favorite. So that kind of it's the native form of theology expressed by the traditional Syriac church on both sides of the Roman-Persian border. So, and that's inclusive of West Syriac and East Syriac. What I do, like the online version of me, is more kind of a reaction to whatever is kind of going on. Like there was, for example, if there's a series made against Oriental Orthodoxy and nobody's going to reply, I have to do it. You know what I mean? Because no one else is going to do it. So then we're on Sam's channel the next thing you know, and then now everybody's an enemy. So, but that's not really like, that's out of need more so than out of who I really am. And Ehab and Fawaz, they've met me in person. We've hung out in person.
Yeah,
they know me. So, I work a lot at my parish. I do the Thursday Bible studies there, and we have like over 60 people. I would say the majority of them, it's young adults. It's in English. The majority of them, I would say, are Chaldean Catholic, Syriac Catholic, Assyrian Church of the East. We're not talking about like apologetics of, Chalcedon. We're not talking about that. We're talking about, it's a Bible study. So we finished the Gospels. We finished the Catholic epistles. We're in the Pauline letters now. And it's really about applying this according to the commentary of the fathers, applying Christianity in a traditional way. And that's why these young Catholics are coming, and the Assyrian Church, that's why they come, because they want that patristic teaching. They want like the hardcore original, we call them Surai, Syriac fathers. They don't, and all due respect to the other traditions, the Coptic, the Greek, the Latin, in the United Church, all respect to them back before the schisms happened. But each rite wants to know what their father said. It's important to them. Like we can hear about, I don't know, let's say Augustine all day, or Thomas Aquinas all day. But if you are Chaldean, if you're Syriac Catholic, you should want to know what Ephraim said. You should want to know what Jacob said. It should be important to you.
Yep.
So in the Bible studies that I do, I focus on our fathers, our particular area,
awesome.
And we do the commentary through that. And so, we have a lot, and it's the traditional ones. And I love it because if there are not traditionalists, it's the Catholics that have my back in being the traditionalists. Yeah, it's awesome.
Well, can you share any information on, and please, if you're not at liberty to share, please don't. But the last time I watched Sam Shamoon, he had you guys on the stream, you and Dioscoros and I can't remember a couple other guys, but it sounded like he was like expressing like shock, like he was saying, he was giving out rhetorical statements like, why'd you guys show me this, as if like now he's embarking upon a new discovery.
Yeah, I don't have any secrets from Sam. It's what he said live. That's all that I know too. It's that he didn't know, I guess, the Miaphysite, the traditional Miaphysite position. He hadn't maybe heard our case for it. He's maybe heard other people expressing our side. If it's the Eastern Orthodox, they would say we are Monophysite Eutychians. And if it's and Qashabazi, I love him, but he calls us Eutychians to this day, which is
wow. You guys condemn Eutyches all the way. That's one of the most historic condemnations.
Of course, yeah. The Catholics, for the most part, they will say this is a misunderstanding. Christology. So
and every now and then you will run across a radical lunatic that will just try and say, hey, what, you guys are just hellbound. But very clearly, that the majority of Catholics, those that are actually doing work in the field, real theology, they don't take that position. They wouldn't attack you that way.
Right. So for Sam to hear it, because all he's heard is either they're Eutychians or it's a misunderstanding. Now he's hearing our case for it. We're not Eutychians, and we don't think it's a misunderstanding. And here's what the way we view it. Here's our case. Now, I would say I don't think any of you here is an historian, obviously. I don't think that this one, the Oriental case, doesn't apply to the typical layperson in 2024 who is not like everybody here believes that Jesus is God in the flesh. And I think it boils down to let's dissect the tradition of that individual. So if Eric and I are talking, well, even if Eric and I believe the same thing, but I'm questioning the tradition of Eric's church, not Eric himself. So this becomes the debate, not the individual.
So when you say tradition, are you talking about the current teaching or the teaching in the 5th, 6th, 7th centuries in the West?
It could be either or both, because we would view that there would be inconsistencies. Yeah.
Let's take a pause for this because we have our very well-known and appreciated
Haley.
YouTube moderator. She's known as the Catholic mom of YouTube, good YouTube channels. So she says, okay, now that horror films are out of the way, since it's almost Valentine's Day, what are your favorite romantic comedies? Let's start with you, Enoch.
Wow, right on the hot seat.
I'll tell you just a quick story about that. I had a friend of mine who, so I'm a big movie buff. We used to watch it more than I do now. And I mean, this might get me in trouble, but he was in Blockbuster one day, in the good old days. And he's like, man, I am just in a mood for a comedy. Please suggest a comedy. You've never heard of this movie before, but I suggested Schindler's List. He actually took it home and watched it. And he texted me like midway, like, you're horrible. So that's my go-to romantic comedy. Other than that, I don't know, Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I haven't watched any, to be honest with you. I've just seen a couple.
Comedy, man, that's hard. Romantic comedy. Whew. I think one that we saw recently was Father of the Bride. Father of the Bride 1 and 2. That's an old one. Yeah. But that one is funny. That one's funny. The problem is there's just always something in these movies. Like in the 90s, they started to get real testy with what they were doing. Yeah. I to this day though, I always tell myself Miss Doubtfire could never be remade today.
Yeah.
Oh,
if you guys remember that scene where Robin Williams is dressed up like Mrs. Doubtfire in the bathroom.
Yep.
And the boy runs away and grabs like a tennis racket,
Yep.
and the sister gets to, and he's like, it's a he she, it's a she.
I remember.
She.
Yep.
And even she grabs something to like, and I thought to myself, wow, back in 1994 or whatever when that came out.
We're living Miss Doubtfire right now in reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it was remade, it would be like, it's a non-binary.
It'd be a documentary.
They them.
So I can't really think of any more romantic comedies.
Yeah, what's considered a romantic comedy? 50 First Dates, right? Is that considered?
That's I've never seen that.
Okay.
I've never seen that one.
Well, all romantic movies to me are hilarious. So
there you go. I'm with you there. Yeah.
Question there for you, William, in the chat.
Yeah, very good news. I'm trying to nail down certain dates with Father Patrick. I think the one thing that has become a little different than back in the day is Father Patrick finds it a little bit more difficult to do shows later in the evening due to where he's located. We're trying to make that work because usually Father Cap is available late in the evening due to the fact that he has so many responsibilities, but definitely going to work on that. And I will be visiting. I'm going to be going to England very soon, and I'm going to get to hang out with Father Ramsey for a full day or two Yeah, definitely going to work on that over there. I'm really looking forward to that. He's already he's invited me, told me he's excited to have me over. So hey, unless he kidnaps me and you guys never hear from me again, I'll definitely be back with information. I'm joking. Father Ramsey's great.
He's going to hang out with Dr. Price and Dr. Brock in England all at the same time.
Now, you know, that is one thing that I'm going to try and reach out to my good friend Sebastian. He's traveling very often. I'm going to be
our first name basis.
Amazing. Yeah,
very good friend. Very good friend, and he means it. He means it.
You know what? Let me tell you guys something funny. This is really funny. I'm going to tell you a really quick story. Many years ago, when I first became friends with Father Kakish many years ago, we're near and dear friends now. We talk every day. Many years ago, I remember we were talking. We began working on our Mary book, and I remember he asked me. I forgot what he asked me. I said, "You know what? I want to send the manuscript over to my friend Sebastian Brock." And Father Kakish, who's a top scholar, knows who that is. And he looked at me. And told me, "You know Sebastian? Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. You know, we've been talking for many, many years, and we talk over the phone." Email, we go back and forth, and he couldn't believe it that I sent the manuscript over, and Sebastian wrote back to me, said, "Love the book, and I can't wait to endorse it." And he endorsed our book in Mary, as you all may know. So he's a good friend of mine, and I have to say, even though he's a top scholar, he's incredibly down to earth. And every time we've done shows with him, the guy is so humble, a real good guy, and I have to say, has done so much work for the community. Not only the Oriental Orthodox community. I mean, you Catholic people, if you only knew a lot of the material we have on Ephraim and Jacob, you owe it to him. So at the end of the day, pray that the Lord grant him many more years. He's an incredible figure.
Yeah, you know,
so our patriarch, His Holiness Mar Ephraim II, there was a rank. It wasn't obviously clergy rank, but there's a rank in the church that's been kind of out of use for a long time. It's like an official teacher of the church, Melpana, we say. Yeah. It was given to Sebastian Brock relatively recently by the patriarch. So it was brought back just for him, like an honor for Sebastian Brock.
Wow.
He's a Melpana in the Syriac Orthodox Church.
Wow.
I have a question for you guys, if you don't mind answering. So Eric and William, and anybody can answer this. Is there a prominent Protestant debater out there that you're like, not so much scared of, but you're like, I got to get my A game with this guy because he's a great debater and he really knows his stuff? Or Elijah, with you, is there an Orthodox, Eastern Orthodox or Greek Orthodox or Russian that you would say, I got to get my A game because this guy's he's coming hard?
I would say that's Erick Ybarra.
Yeah, the well-known Eastern Orthodox. Yeah,
he has the best objections, and then he just smacks them down. No, that's a good question. I really like. You guys gonna have to remind me. Seraphim Hamilton. What's his name? Not Hamilton.
Seraphim Hamilton.
Yeah.
He Cabane, the Christian. Seraphim Hamilton. Yeah.
I like him a lot. I like him. I'm not sure about debating and stuff, but I like his work because he's very honest.
Yeah, he's like you. He's kind of like you in the way that you do things.
Yeah, good guy.
Yeah,
real good guy.
Very thorough, very methodical, and more patient and slow with the material.
Right.
I've seen him debate. He's probably a good debater, but Protestant wise, man, there are good guys out there. I'm drawing a blank right now. I mean, James White has rhetorical skill, I'll give him that. I mean, he does. Like every time I listen to a debate with him, I think he has won a lot of the Catholic debates that he did. Like not in the sense that what he was saying was correct,
right,
and what they were saying was wrong, but just in the ring. In the 12 rounds that was had right there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Let me add to that. Look, if you don't mind me adding, Eric.
Go ahead.
Every Marian dogma debate that I've heard James White debate on, I don't think I've ever heard him lose a debate on the topic. I don't. And coming from a guy who I think my specialty is Mariology. I'm studying virtually every day. He cleaned the floor with geriatretics, and it wasn't even close. Every debate I've heard him have on the Marian dogmas, he's really he's done very well, and I think that has helped all of us raise our game. In terms of debating, if anybody's going to ask me, who would I put up there as the cream of the crop? Now, I think an incredible debater, and I had the opportunity to debate against him, was Dr. Brown. Great debater and a friend of mine. I'll be doing shows of them in the future on messianic prophecies. He's a good guy, incredible debater. But then if you were to ask me who keeps me up late at night and really preparing, you all may be shocked to hear it, be Turton Fan. You may encounter him and hear him talking slowly, but don't let that fool you, because a person that talks slowly can neutralize you. So you may have me talking at 100 miles per hour, and that guy over there is going to neutralize the guy talking 100 miles per hour. So Turton Fan, the reason I pick him is because I can debate him, and he will be able to look at the languages in real time, look at the patristic material in real time, go to the Minyan, utilize the scholarly databases, and that to me is a robust debate, and I love that. So I tell you one thing, if I'm going to debate Turton Fan, I better have my schedule and my calendar clear for a few days out of the week to be able to prepare. And I do that because I believe he really does elevate my studies, and he knows the material well. And here's another thing, Eric. I don't know if you know this, but the massive majority of material, probably over 90% of it, that James White would utilize on the Marian dogmas all come from him. They're the blogs that he wrote back in the day in Alpha and Omega against the Immaculate Conception, against the Assumption, against the Perpetual Virginity, that James would then repeat in debate. But they were blogs and articles that he would get from old, back in the day, Protestant material, and he would translate that, bring that over in English, and make it popular, like the seven popes argument that denied the Immaculate Conception. He brought that to the English world, and many others. So he's a good, very, very good debater, robust debater. And I think what I like about him is he's an honest guy. I want to be very clear. Here in the world of apologetics, if you are not in this for the truth, you're in it for the wrong reasons. If you cannot admit when you are wrong or when you've got to get better in a certain area, then you shouldn't be doing this. We're not in this as a blood sport or to give glory to ourselves. If you're not in this to give all glory to God and to grow spiritually, well, you need to really reconsider what you're doing this for.
Wow.
Yeah, I think
that's fantastic, man.
That's a great response. You know, the way I look at debates, so you have the James White, and the James White seems to be, he's just trying to win the debate, right? It's almost like I'm not really interested in the truth here. I'm only interested in winning. It's like rhetorical. And then you have Turton Fan, where he's, like you're saying, he's more interested in digging really deep into the debate topic and going like where no one has gone. And I compare it to James White is more like a George Foreman. He's trying to get that knockout punch, that one knockout punch, right? And then Turton Fan is more like Mayweather, where he's going to jab you the whole time and kind of like, you know, dodge the punches, right? He's not going to go toe to toe. He's more he's gonna go to distance with you. He's not going to try to knock you out. And I think it's the ones that try to knock you out that always appear like they've won the debate, right? But when you sit there and listen to the content, who really won the debate, or what the heck does that even mean anymore, right? Who won the debate? But those are really good debate.
What do you guys take on how well St. Genna's did against White? Do you think he did well, or because I remember going up?
Shut him down.
I used to enjoy those debates all the time. I thought St. Genna's did pretty good.
Yeah, there was one that St. Genna's did really good. Yeah.
Which one? Good point there, Eric. Which one are you talking about? Because they debated a lot.
Did they? Okay, I remember watching quite a few of them back in the early 2000s, or mid 2000s. I think they did one. Was it on faith alone or scripture alone?
Yeah, I think Robert did really well in those in each one they did on that topic.
Yeah,
that was an old one. I mean, we're talking years ago. Yeah, that was a, but that still shows up if on the YouTube on the
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. It'll pop up all the time.
Did they do a Marian one?
Yeah, they did. They did a bodily assumption. When I look, I'm friends with Bob, and if Bob sees this, he knows what I think. I don't think Bob did well in that debate at all. Okay. And I would not take the position that he did. I wouldn't go to the Book of Acts and the authority of Peter to prove the bodily assumption. I just don't think. I think I think you can utilize good arguments if you're debating the topic of the papacy from there, but for the bodily assumption, I don't think he did well in that debate at all.
I agree. Yeah, I remember that debate.
I don't think Catholics, this is my humble opinion, I don't think Catholics should debate Protestants on their terms. I think Catholics should debate on Catholic terms. Why would you debate a doctrine when you don't agree on what the authority is in the first place? You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like right now we can have that conversation because we agree on tradition. We know tradition is the authority for us.
No doubt.
But you have to convince the Protestant of that in the first place. Of course, they're not going to believe in the bodily assumption.
Right.
Yeah.
There's still a drive out there. I mean, I think people still want to see the fun, just to see what can the Catholic do, and say. And so I think that's why those debates keep happening. But I think Trent Horn was one guy who said that he'll never debate a Protestant on the Assumption of Mary. But
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because for the same reasons that Subdeacon is saying. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I can see a debate happening. In fact, William knows how to turn the mode into a Protestant or a Catholic frame to try and bring evidence up. And then so did he's from England. I can't remember his name.
Peter Williams.
Yes, Peter. Yeah,
Peter Williams.
Yeah. He's another guy that did it, and he did pretty good. It's very hard to do.
Yeah, very difficult.
On Thursday, I was saying at the Bible study, I said you don't go to McDonald's and order fettuccine Alfredo. You don't go to Olive Garden, you order a Big Mac. So anyone who's coming here should expect to hear orthodoxy. So, and then I get into where the canon of Scripture comes from. I point at the altar and I say, the canon of Scripture comes from the lectionary that you hear every Sunday. Yeah. That list of books leading up, climaxing at Easter, year-round, the 7 readings used to be each Mass. That's our list. When it became time to need a list, that's the list of that area, whatever the list was in the lectionary. So this is what a canon of Scripture is. This it's almost like a Quranic idea that the Protestants have of this book falling out of the sky and just kind of having this. It's not a Christian way of thinking.
Good point.
Don't the Muslims have their own version of tradition and I guess Quran alone versus just the Quran?
Yeah, it's a heresy. It's called Ahmadiyya. Even for them, it's heretical.
Right.
Yeah.
Eastern Orthodox debater. Father Patrick came up earlier. People are like, "Where's Father Patrick? Why don't you have Father Patrick on?" Well, William indirectly alluded. He's all the way over in the UK, so it's always hard to get him on. One show. I'd love to have Father Patrick on the show with us, but it's just not feasible. So, but I think I think when he gets into debates, if you are interested in sitting down on your stomach, or like laying down on your stomach on your bed with a notepad, hitting pause, and then play again and writing notes, he's a good guy to listen to.
Yeah.
But if you're just sitting down listening to a debate, there is a communication barrier for me anyway. I have to listen to it and stop and think. And if I have the time, I can get a lot from what he's saying. But it's effective debater on the Orthodox side. So far, you guys might find this surprising. I thought that the recent one that we saw with Luigi versus the Voice of Reason, and Luigi's, I've already done one review on it, so Luigi's got a lot of things confused. With all due respect to him, but I think, man, like out of all the Orthodox debates I've seen, he did a good job speaking clearly, recognizing the time limits and things like that. So just
Eric, let me I don't want to cut you off, but let me get a little bit of clarification. That Luigi guy, because I don't know what you're talking about. That Luigi guy he is an Eastern Orthodox scholar, and he's a good debater.
Oh no, he's not a scholar. No,
oh my bad. Okay.
Yeah, no, in fact, he's I don't know if he's been studying Orthodoxy for a couple of years or something, but he's an inquirer. He hasn't even been baptized yet.
Okay, and then what? But he debated. What did he defend then?
He debated the Voice of Reason on reason and theology. And Voice of Reason is another guy I had never seen throw the gloves on either. But yeah, I just can't say there's a really like the best Orthodox debater out there. It's
Father Ramsey's really good. He's a scholar.
Sure.
And Father Kleinenberg, in my opinion, near and dear friend of mine. A lot of people may not know, but many moons ago, before I became Catholic, I was discerning Eastern Orthodoxy and Catholicism, and I communicated with Father Kleinenberg when I was discerning Orthodoxy, and we've remained friends even to this day after all of those moons and all those years have gone by. I really do have a lot of respect for him, Eric. I don't know what you think about him.
Yeah, Kleinenberg is excellent. Yeah, I just did well, not recently. It was like 3 or 4 months ago. I did a dialogue with him on gospel simplicity, and I mean, he's a man who knows the sources. He's a man who has done his homework. I don't know if has he ever debated?
Yeah.
Yes, he has.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. He debated. I do not remember who from Alpha and Omega. He debated. I forgot the name of the gentleman. Many years ago. He has debated before. And the guy's good. He's legit. Really good.
It's funny because it's 2024. We're living in weird times, and Mario and Luigi are now Eastern Orthodox. I don't know if you guys know Luigi is Eastern Orthodox. You guys know Mario? I don't know if you know Mario.
I've heard of him. I don't know who the guy is, but I've heard of him.
I've been on his channel.
Oh, you have?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, Alan.
By the way, Alan has joined the stream, guys. But what I didn't realize is that I must have a 6-box limit. So unfortunately, we're only going to get Alan's audio. But go ahead, Alan. Thanks for coming on.
We can see him.
We can see him.
Yeah, he's right there.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Wait, hold on. Maybe we can't see him on the actual YouTube channel.
No, I'm on there. You can see him.
Yeah, he's there. He's there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, hey, look, from my end, I couldn't for a second. So I apologize, Alan.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
All right.
Sweet.
So, yeah, Alan, everybody knows Alan. Alan, he's our favorite late high medieval Byzantium scholar on YouTube.
He's amazing. Alan is incredible blessing to have. The guy's just an encyclopedia of knowledge. Guys, let me tell you something really quick, and I'm going to make Alan blush here. But I don't remember how long ago this was, Alan. Every now and then, Alan's going to probably say, William, I'm sick of you always bringing this up. It was about 2 years ago, I think. About 2 years ago, I had planned to do a show in the Crusades with a priest scholar. I got the show ready, and I said, you know what? My dear friend Alan is really good at that topic. I want to bring him on to join me for that show. And, we did the show, brought Alan on board, and it ended up being that Alan knew probably 10 times more than the scholar that I had on. And it ended up being Alan pretty much laying out the history of everything and pretty much teaching that.
That's awesome.
The other individual I had on, it was very respectful. You could tell Alan was in a league on his own on that topic. And for people that are wondering, William, who are you talking about? You can find the video on my channel. Alan does an incredible job there. So tip of the hat there. Really blessed to have Alan here with us, brother.
Well, happy to be here. Cheers.
Good to see you here, brother.
Alan, I never had the pleasure of being on a show with you, but I've always respected you.
Yeah, that was a great debate. I remember that day. I remember that debate. My little girl was really, really tiny, really, really little. And I just gotten home from the gym, and I had the audio on in the back. And I remember having it loud, and I'm making me some food, making a shake and some food. And I'm just hearing Erick clean house. And I mean, I turned around. I'm like, are you kidding me? You know, it wasn't even a debate. It was a lesson that Erick was giving Jay Dyer. And I just right away, I ran to grab my phone. And I remember Mike was moderating, and back in the good old days. And I texted Mike. I'm like, Mike, are we on the same page here? Erick is just, you know, wiping house. And Mike was just right back, texting me back. And we were laughing. We couldn't even hold it in. It was a great debate. If anybody does want to watch a great debate, but that's why Erick is
it's a classic debate.
It is, and Erick is a man when it comes to the papacy.
Yeah, you know, these kind of empty philosophy guys, their kryptonite, if you will, are the guys who know history. They don't, because they have this philosophy out of context, and then once it's plugged into the historical context, the person who knows these historical details and whatever, the person is just resorts to then just saying, well, it doesn't matter. The history doesn't matter. The details. He's making everything irrelevant because he needs to have these empty words, you know. Yep. And that's why Erick is so effective.
Well, you know, Jay Dyer. I mean, like if we're going to answer for the people, like let the court of the people speak on who the best Orthodox debater is out there. They're going to say Jay Dyer. Mm-hmm. But I've just. Even subtracting my go with him, like if you listen closely the way you're supposed to listen to a debate, and William, you're more skilled in this area. I just didn't detect the debate skills that you would want to see in a professional debater. I just haven't seen it.
Not at all. And another thing that you've got to realize is when you're debating, you need to utilize critical primary source material. I have heard Dyer over and over and over in the past, and I just have not been impressed. You're not going to get top-notch scholarly material from him. You're never going to get that. And I am just flat out honest there. And I think that there are other people that I think are doing real work. People are going to hear, William, why are you going to mention Father Ramsey and Father Cleaning? Guys, at the end of the day, they're translating material from Greek to English or the languages. You know, they're working with real material. These are guys doing real work. And if you don't like them because they talk slowly, I'd rather debate and dialogue with a real scholar rather than somebody that's going to be insulting you, talking down to you, and not utilizing any critical material at all.
Well,
that's just me.
Didn't the Eastern Orthodox put out a thing saying like to stay away from him or whatever? I thought.
Yeah, but I think he excommunicated those people that didn't put that out.
It was like the official church. I thought it was like bishops.
Well, it doesn't matter for the online fanboys. It doesn't matter for them, brother.
Oh, you're talking about Jay Dyer.
Okay, yeah. For a second, I thought you were talking about Father Ramsey.
No, not at all.
Father Ramsey's excommunicated. I'm like, really? I'm pretty sure he's in good standing.
There was a thing saying, guys, stay away from him or whatever like that, right? I remember.
Yeah, I know Archbishop Alexander Golitsyn. I think he's the ordinary of the Orthodox Church of America in the Southeast region. And he put out a public document. Wait a minute. I don't know if he called out Father. I think he called out Father Peter Hears. Now that I'm thinking about it, he called out another. It's a priest out there who's going around he's kind of like not
preaching corrective baptism. Without bishop's approval.
Yeah, to be honest, now that I brought him up, he's been nice with me. And all my interactions with Father Peter Hears, but I have to correct myself. Golitsyn didn't go after Dyer. The only thing I can think of that possibly comes close to that is the OCA did a recent survey on why people come to the Orthodox Church, and a lot of it is rooted in his in Jay Dyer. I mean, I have a friend of mine who travels for work. He's into fundraising, and he visits Orthodox churches wherever he goes. And he went to one random one prayer service, like it was on a Wednesday evening, and he was in line to meet the priest after prayers, and there was two kids in front of him to shake the priest's hands, and as he overheard what they were saying, they said, "Oh, we heard Jay Dyer on YouTube, and we thought we need to come to the first Orthodox church that's closest to our house." And he thought to himself, "Wow, Jay Dyer really does have an impact on the young kids on YouTube." It's just the case.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know where. Then I was hearing something like the bishops were dissuading the people from listening to him.
It's possible, Sabdik, and I'll have to look it up. I just don't want to say it.
Right.
Something in my mind, in the library of my mind, tells me that that's true. I just can't point it out.
Sure.
One great debater in the Catholic world, besides William and Eric, is Christian Wagner. Not just debate, but I love his channel. I think he puts out some good stuff on Thomas Aquinas and stuff like that. He's really he's young,
man. He's young, and
he's very young.
Yeah, he debated Medical White. Remember the dude that we did a critique on Original Sin years ago.
He put him away. He put him away. Man.
Yeah, Wagner. I think Wagner did a very good job. He's a smart guy. Yeah,
definitely.
He's good with the EOs.
He debated Ubi Petrus too.
Yeah. Put him away too. Put him in the cover.
Yeah, on the Filioque. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, I've had him on my channel. He's like, I swear that guy spends all his time reading scholastic tracts from the medieval era. He just his knowledge of that is just like beyond. I'm blown away by it. Each time I talk with him, I text him sometimes. He's a good guy, and I did a thing on the Crusades on his channel too. And then he came on and talked
with Wagner. With Wagner.
Yeah, with Wagner.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and like I'm going to be honest. In terms of philosophy, we talked about Jay Dyer. He tries to be philosophical. Talk about Wagner. My knowledge of philosophy is about zero. So that's how much I know. Like, I like studying scripture. I like studying like the medieval Byzantium and the Crusades and stuff like that. But like in terms of philosophy, I know nothing. There's not a lot, and it's something I'd like to learn. I've actually thought in the last few days of going and picking up Jay Dyer's new book. Has anyone I don't know if it's new, but it might be a year old or something.
The only book I know from him is Esoteric Hollywood. Does he have another one?
Yeah, he's got a collection of philosophy essays. It's like a purple cover, I think, or purple.
Oh, yes. Yep. Now I know what you're talking about. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't know. And I just want to say shout out to Daniel and Enoch. I'd like to collab with you guys sometimes. I love your guys' work.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Well, Alan, can you tell us what you've been working on lately or what you've been up to? We kind of went around the circle.
You can hop on a song with me, Alan. You got some great skills. You got to rap with me.
He'll do the break dancing.
Well, the thing I've been studying lately is Ezeropapism, because in terms of Eastern Orthodox Catholic dialogue, the Orthodox like to present themselves as we're the faith of the College of Bishops, the collegial faith. Okay. And it might be today, but it was not when they had an emperor. The emperor, like I got primary sources where they talked about the emperor being the high priest, where they talked about him settling doctrinal disputes, this is post-schism, against the will of all the bishops, and him changing the liturgical books, and those changes exist to this day. changes made by the emperor against the will of all the bishops. I've got a quote from the 1390s of Patriarch Antonius, so I guess Anthony IV, saying it's impossible to have a church without an empire and an emperor. This is in reaction when the Byzantine Empire was essentially a city-state and a vassal of the Turks. It's still under Greek control, but it's a vassal of the Turks, and it's not much of an empire. The Prince of Moscow and the Archbishop took the emperor's name out of the liturgical books, and then Patriarch Anthony writes that letter where he essentially says you can't have a church without an empire and emperor. And keep in mind, only 60 years later, it's at the end of the empire. So that's why a lot of people were confused, like after the empire fell, and that's eventually why Mehmet the Conqueror stepped in and like appointed their bishop, you know, because that's all they knew, because the emperor appointed the bishops. Now that happened pre-schism as well. I'll concede that. Like, it's something that was tolerated. It's not ideal. The church should choose the bishop. Give the emperor. It's something that was tolerated, but the stuff that happened post-schism, when there's no longer a pope to keep it in check, there's no longer a pope to oppose the Henoticon or oppose the Ecthesis or something like that, the emperor had free reign to decide all theology, and it didn't really matter what the bishop said about it. And all of my research is primary sources. All.
That's a fascinating topic, Alan, because, you know, I don't know if it was you and I that spoke about this on your channel one time, but that was something I noticed in my research too, that contemporary Orthodox, especially like Russian Orthodoxy, they emphasize collegiality, unanimity, equality amongst the bishops, and, you know, everyone has the right to issue one vote type of thing.
Very new.
Yeah, but that just doesn't jive with the Caesaro-Papist, you know, history. And Craig Trullia is coming up in the chat here. Has anyone engaged with Craig Trullia's book besides Subdeacon? And speaking of Craig Trullia, he likes to say, believe facts, not words, right? He says, believe what people do, not what they say. But when I was listening to Alan talk about the Caesaro-Papism, that's what was done, you know? So you can't go by that rule perfectly, right, Alan?
Well, and I think the reason a lot of people don't notice it is because, like the Catholic apologist and Craig Trullia will study all the sources up to 1054, and then they'll just kind of like, well, it doesn't matter after that because the fact is already decided. But they don't seem to continue post-schism Byzantium. Of course, as Catholics, we know what happens in the post-schism West, but most people don't know what happened in the post-schism East, apart from the big events like the Palamite Synods, Council of Lyons and Florence. But apart from that, no one knows what's going on there except for me. So and the stuff that you find is absolutely shocking. And the stuff I've shared with you just now is just tip of the iceberg.
And the we got to talk about the this is going to be a very short conversation, but we got to talk about the best Oriental Orthodox debater, and by default that has to be Subdeacon Daniel.
Yep.
There's no one else.
And the funny thing is I've never gotten in like a formal official debate. Not even one.
Wait a minute. What about medical?
Even that, Eric. It was like we're talking. It wasn't like time and response.
Those are the best. I like those a lot better.
I refuse to do those because I'm Middle Eastern. We don't have time limits. We just go.
So Deacon, you attend the SSPX, right?
Of course.
Okay.
You know what's funny is Deacon one time. I think you were on Erick's channel, Sub Deacon, talking about the papacy, and I think somebody, was it me? I think I brought up the question on the live chat, and I said, "What about the agreement between the your church, Oriental Orthodox, and the Catholic Church on Christology?" And you were like, "Well, you know, you guys signed an agreement with us, but then again, like you turned around and you signed an agreement with the Church of the East." So we're like, what is going on there?
Yeah, that's correct. I think at the time it was, and then I think Pope John Paul II. It was Pope John Paul II with Pope Shenouda of Alexandria, and also I think it was Patriarch Zeka of Antioch. After that happened, after the Church of the East one with Mardincha, I think our patriarchs came out and said, well, I guess they changed their minds about us. It was very confusing on our side, because it's like, well, we don't agree with the Church of the East. So if you agree with us, how can you agree with them? You know?
Well, and I think I should add, I think there was a joint Catholic Coptic thing in 1973 as well between Pope Paul VI and whoever was the Coptic patriarch. I'm not sure who it was. I'm sure you would know, but
I want to say it was still Pope Shenouda at the time, but I could be wrong. It might have been Pope Kyrillos VI. I don't know.
I think it was Pope. That name sounds familiar. Pope Kyrillos.
Okay,
sounds familiar.
Kyrillos means Cyril, so Pope Cyril VI. Yeah.
Now, to briefly, I'm sorry, brother. Go ahead.
Please go. No, I was going to ask. Go ahead.
To kind of really touch upon that, and it'll come up later on because we plan on going. In fact, if people don't know, in a very respectful manner later on, Dr. Goff, Father Kakish, and myself are going to go on with Sam's channel, and we're going to respond to Christology to Subdeacon Daniel, and then, God willing, all have a round table and dialogue with each other. In a very friendly manner, because we're dear friends.
Yeah, of course.
To kind of touch upon that, and even though I know Subdeacon may have a different viewpoint, but Rome didn't turn around and say, okay, well, we've changed the way we view things with the Oriental Orthodox and what have you. Because if you read the actual dialogue between Rome, the Assyrian Church of the East, you can tell that Rome, at least, was of the mindset that the agreement with the Assyrian Church of the East was within the realms of Orthodox Christology, albeit noticing that they were going, the Assyrian Church were going to continue utilizing particular terms of their own, but they were of the accord that, okay, even if you want to utilize Christotokos, you are of the mindset that the theology behind the term of Theotokos is correct, and we're all on the same page in regards to that. But of course, this is a dialogue that needs to be fleshed out. We need to look at the text more. But at the end of the day, I do want to be clear about one thing. Even if at the end of the day, that declaration between Rome, the Assyrian Church of the East, even if the Assyrian Church of the East essentially agreed and said, look, we're utilizing our own terminology, our own classical terminology, but we're on the same page here. In my humble opinion, that classical terminology was problematic back then. And it could lead to confusion today with individuals on that side flat out refusing to affirm the theology behind Theotokos, which today you find very often, and we know this, and Sam has not been secretive about it. Sam, who has gone to those churches where they flat out don't respect the agreements between Rome and their church, and they continue espousing heresies that have been long condemned. The brother Subdeacon can confirm for me that I'm not making this up. That to me is problematic. And the Assyrian Church of the East, you guys, at the end of the day, love you guys. I really do. I've given a platform to you all. But if you're going to sign a joint declaration there that we're all on the same page in Christology, it needs to, the fruit needs to show from that union. And thus far, I've seen much more confusion than anything else. So what has gone on since then? Has it been rejected? Has it been accepted? And I think that is open for a very good and healthy dialogue.
Absolutely. And right now, William, I would say is the best time, because Mar'awa, the patriarch of the Church of the East, he is very educated. He's fluent in English.
No doubt.
And he's on good terms with everybody. Everybody loves him. So the dialogue now is there's potential for it better than ever.
Awesome.
No doubt.
And I really I know, you know, to be online in this kind of world, it's very cool to be kind of traditional and conservative and not ecumenist and all that stuff. But I'm actually one of the people for next year, for 2025, when all our holidays are lined up.
Oh yeah.
For the first time in a long time. I'm hoping when they do meet in Nicaea in 2025, they at least say, okay, we agree on the calendar moving forward. So we don't have to have these gaps anymore. Because I know maybe for a lot of people it's not important, but for Middle Eastern people, it's very important because we're all intermarried with each other.
No
so
doubt.
Like my in-laws and then me, and then we're all having different holidays. And you know what I mean? It's so
no, I get you totally. Yeah.
Different. At least this.
Nice. I had a question for you guys, if you don't mind. Just a simple one. Generally speaking, because this is going to be depending on the topic, if you could go back and pick one saint or patristic, not counting Our Lady, because that wouldn't be fair, that you would have with you on a debate to join you, who would you pick? Who would you pick?
Saint Cyril of Alex. Just kidding.
You already know where Sadiq is going to go.
Ephraim, right?
No. Actually, I would say Saint Peter.
Saint Peter. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
In
Eric
case,
is looking
Mother
at you
Mary.
like I'm going to fight you. Eric is looking at you like I'm going to get you.
That's a good question.
What's the topic of debate, or is it just
generally speaking, you could pick
Okay.
a great mind in the past.
Okay, I've got one. Saint Vincent Ferrer.
Oh, it's my favorite saint, man. Wow.
Who converted a ton of Muslims and a ton of Jews in
Love that guy.
Spain.
Yeah,
and he was
good
holy
choice.
from day one. Like Saint Francis of Assisi, kind of lived a sinful life, and then he had a conversion. But Saint Vincent Ferrer was like holy from day one. You know, he was purely saint. Great guy. There's a great biography of him out there. And great saint, great scholar. He knew Hebrew and Arabic, and Greek and Latin, and so he's like elite apologist who would like convert entire synagogues or entire mosques in Spain.
Amazing.
I would have to say Saint Thomas Aquinas, but if I could give two others that are not saints, they're not even. Well, one of them debatably remained Catholic. The other one wanted to be. And so John Bekos, I would want to have him on my side debating Orthodox on the Filioque, because for those of you who are listening in the audience who don't know, Bekos, which sometimes is spelled Beccus or Bekkos. He was a 13th century Greek theologian who he did occupy the patriarchal throne of Constantinople before he was persecuted out by the anti-unionists. He was pro-union with Rome on the basis of the patristic consensus on the Filioque. And his works, I'm indebted to Dr. Peter Gilbert. If it wasn't for Dr. Peter Gilbert, who himself is an Orthodox Christian, who's devoted to translating Bekos's corpus, I wouldn't know anything about him. But yeah, he was just phenomenal. And then the second guy, perhaps, would be Vladimir Soloviev. Debating with the Orthodox.
Wow.
This guy went with a Greek and a Russian. That's amazing.
Didn't Bekos, is that the guy that taught we talked about this before, the Immaculate, he has that quote on the Immaculate Conception, or what we think sounds like the Immaculate Conception? Is that guy?
It's possible. I can't remember. Remember. Yeah, he was but he was all on board.
But all these guys, you guys are saying, have to submit to the keys, Peter. You guys know, right?
Yeah, there you go. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I think there's one question that we should all take. We should all probably end with we'll go around in a circle, beginning with Enoch, how we started in the beginning, and then we'll finish with Alan.
Let's do it.
This question here, I think it was such a great question from looks like a young man named Erick Ybarra. He asks, any brief words for a Southern Baptist who has been considering Catholicism this past year? And we'll start with Enoch and go around.
Yeah, brother. Thank you for asking that question. You know, I can only give my own personal experience when it comes to that. As someone who did go Protestant and then ended up back to the primarily due to the church fathers. The water is purest, cleanest when it's closest to the source. And when you have the apostles, the patristic, who then in oral tradition and also written, you know, hand that down to the early fathers and so on. I think that there's a beautiful continuity in the succession that has been so unbroken. Just in my perspective and the Catholic understanding of it, and then to have up until today, not only the teaching, the Bride of Christ and itself and her teaching, but also the visible church. And that succession, the bishops being the successors of the apostles, I think that you can come home to Rome knowing that you are a part of today that was also part of 2,000 years ago. You know, with that. So I think that's really important to keep in mind as well.
Elijah.
I would say I would go back to what Subdeacon was saying earlier. Is the most important topic is the question of authority. I think that should be the question that you should really look into. And obviously, Erick Ybarra's book on the papacy, William Albrecht's book on the papacy. I think is it out yet, or I can't remember.
Yeah, and the canon too. The canon deals very heavily with the Orthodox.
Absolutely, yeah. So those are the things that I think you should, because once that gets answered, then it's like a domino effect of which way to go, right? That's the most important question, and I highly recommend checking out their channels too. They have a lot of good stuff.
William.
Oh, I apologize. Yeah, let me really quick give my answer that I wanted to give earlier. My saint that I would point to would be the great blessed Duns Scotus. In my opinion, greatest Mariologist of all time. Real briefly, I wanted to say that. And the other thing that I would say would be that if you are a Baptist, look at the history of the Reformed churches. Luther, Calvin, Zwingli, even those so-called proto-reformers in Jan Hus and Wycliffe, and look at what they taught in terms of Mariology, which has always perplexed me in the sense that modern-day Protestantism, modern-day Baptist faiths look nothing like the Reformed faiths of old, which, by the way, remember one of the rallying cries of the Reformation was Bible alone. And yet you've got the reformers, the magisterial reformers, being unanimous on the perpetual virginity. Even later reformers like Francis Turretin. And yet there's a very clear evolution within Protestantism to this day. Even the earliest, the first magisterial reformers, even holding to the bodily assumption. Can you believe that? So my point would be that for me, Mariology is incredibly important because it points, as the brother Deacon knows and everybody here, points to Christology. It's very, very important. And if the Reformed traditions have evolved and, with all due respect, in my opinion, have mutated over the years to the point where it's very difficult to recognize classical reformation in modern day churches. Even James White has lamented that. Well, I really do think that you owe it to yourself to study the early church. And I would also recommend you check out our book in the canon, where we deal very heavily, not only with the Eastern claims, but Protestants as well. And I think you'll eventually realize that and come home. By the way, a real brief comment, and it'll be my final comment. I've had an incredible time back here with you all today. We can't make it only one time and then be done. We got to get together more often. I've had an incredible time being back with all the old gang. We've remained in touch, but these things they're needed. Even though life does get incredibly busy, I've been beyond edified to be with you, brothers, tonight. I've been filled with the joy and the love that you can only get from being together with brothers in the faith, brothers in Christ. And I want to say that I love all of you guys here, and I'm just really, really happy, happy to be with you all.
Thank you. I've learned so much just tonight. Thank you, guys. Thank you. It's been...
And thanks for having us all here, Eric. We appreciate it.
We appreciate you, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah, William, thank you so much for saying that. Love you, man. And everything you said there was great. Especially we're missing Gary Machuda. His book, his books on the canon. William's books on the canon. Yeah.
And you know what? We're gonna have to invite Gary to join us one of these days.
Yep,
we're gonna have to invite him. He would join us. I know that.
Yeah. Subdeacon, what do you have to say to the Southern Baptists?
I would say to him, if you join the Roman Catholic Church, join it because of what it is on the official level, like you see from these brothers who are traditionalist Roman Catholic. They're conservative, not in a sense of kind of getting to a more liberal kind of thing. No, go to more conservative. That's the idea. And like what Elijah is saying, the subject of authority, you are going to an institution that you believe is divinely instituted. So you are going in full submission, not to make it like you want or to change it, but to be in submission to her, because you believe that this is the church of God that he established on St. Peter and the apostles. Like, I believe my church is that. So I'm fully in submission. I don't change the church. She changes me. So you go in this and you want to preserve and keep the tradition that was handed down, not to try to do, what's the guy's name? Martin?
James Martin.
Yeah, James Martin.
Oh man, yeah.
This is the wrong direction. Be like them.
Good stuff. Alan.
Well, yeah, no, that's well, I just want to say, Eric, thanks for tuning, like the guy who's inquiring. I just want to say thanks for tuning in, and God bless. You've heard some of the top apologists just in the last few minutes tell you to read certain books on papacy and on the Virgin Mary, the canon, purgatory, all that stuff, and that's important. I think I'm going to throw something else at you. That's because keep in mind, this is there's two dimensions. There's both the intellectual and there's the spiritual as well. So I'd pick up a copy of this book. It's called The Imitation of Christ by Thomas Kempis, and it's about 600 years old. It predates Protestantism, and so we often get caught up in like debates about intellectual debates, and that's good. That's important too. But the spiritual is also important too. And so yeah, I would recommend getting this book and praying about it. And yeah, I'd go talk to a priest. Yeah, just go, and just open your heart. Say, look, I'm a Baptist. I love Jesus. I love the scriptures, but there's something lacking, and I want to come home. And then hopefully you start a friendship, and hopefully that leads to something better. That's all I can say for now.
That's a great answer, Alan. It's great.
Very good point. Yeah.
Amen. Yeah. The only thing I would add is, and it's not just an addition, it's just a further expansion, is that the doctrine of the Eucharist is extremely powerful as a delimiter. Because if you're a Southern Baptist and you're wanting to explore historic Christianity, you've got all these options from the whole evangelical world, the Baptist, from independent to free will to Southern to Reformed, the Plymouth Brethren movement. I mean, you got all these different denominations. Then you've got Lutheranism, and then the plethora out of that, Presbyterianism, Anglicanism. If you study the Eucharist of the Fathers, and I've written one book on it. Feel free to get that. There's other books out there, plenty of them. If you can understand that the Bible and the Fathers teach the Eucharist in a way that only the Oriental Orthodox, the Eastern Orthodox, and the Catholic Church holds, that is going to afford you a great amount of help in your journey, because then you could wipe away all the alternatives that deny that. And then, you know, it brings you to the fork between, you know, the Oriental, the Orthodox, or Rome, which is it's a fork that, you know, it defines the interest of where reason and theology was, where classical Christian theology is now, and join the conversation. But it's a wonderful journey. So with that, guys, I'm gonna shut it down. I really appreciate you guys coming out, each one of you. You know, we've known each other for a long time. I got a chance to know Enoch even better. That was great. So yeah, everybody, I'm going to put their channels in the show notes. So any of you guys are interested in looking at these guys further, even though you already know where they're at, I'll have links. And again, I hate to be the guy to say like the video before we end this. Please like the video.
Like the video.
Subscribe. And, you know, share it. Help this channel grow. I'm at 4,800 subscribers now, and I need to be more consistent with doing shows.
Eric, if you don't mind me interrupting briefly, one thing that really does help as well, it will help a lot, and I'll tell people for Eric, because you all have helped my channel grow. Don't forget to comment as well. That will make a huge difference for the algorithm. And I want to tell people, if you tell me, oh, William, I don't know what to put a thumbs up, anything. But if you enjoyed the show we did today, do us all a favor, flood it down below. Thumbs up, a heart, a thank you, anything. Flood it for the algorithm, because the more comments it will appear on the YouTube page, the more you comment, even more than a thumbs up. Do us a favor and comment down below, flood it. And I promise you, I'll come back and look to see what you wrote. All of us will.
Yeah, and they do the notification bell too. That helps, because then you guys will know. Some people are saying they got the notification too late. If you put
also make it your homepage.
Make it your Google page.
There you go.
Yeah. I don't know if I've gotten there yet. I don't know if I've gotten there. Maybe soon. I don't know. But all right. Well, fellas, I'll talk to you backstage. Audience, God bless you. Everybody have an extremely pleasant evening.
Thanks, everybody.